I don't know what happened. Guess we weren't meant to be. I know we had problems. I thought we could fix them, but we got tired. There's nothing left to do but to say goodbye and try to move on. I'll get over you, only wish that I knew how to go on. Baby, you and me, we're so messed up together. Even if we tried, we'd be stuck here forever. I don't understand right now how to make it through, but I'll get over you, and it's not like I'm gonna hate you. It's what it is, nothing left that we could do. Even though it hurts right now, we will make it through. I'll get over you. I'll get over you. Back when I met you, we were like fireworks. Thought nothing could break us, but oh how we got burned. Look at us now, we scream, we fight, and no one knows the reason. We're both getting out of line. Now say goodbye and try to move on. I'll get over you, only wish that I knew how to go on. Baby, you and me, we're so messed up together. Even if we tried, we'd be stuck here forever. I don't understand right now how to make it through, but I'll get over you, and it's not like I'm gonna hate you. It's what it is, nothing left that we could do. Even though it hurts right now, we will make it through. I'll get over you. I'll get over you. We were holding on to something that we both know couldn't work, so we should try to say goodbye. You know we had our problems, so now we have to try to move on. Baby, you and me, we're so messed up together. Even if we tried, we'd be stuck here forever. I don't understand right now how to make it through, but I'll get over you, and it's not like I'm gonna hate you. It's what it is, nothing left that we could do. Even though it hurts right now, we will make it through. I'll get over you. I'll get over you. Oh, I'll get over you.
Well, welcome everyone. I've seen we've already got people arguing in the comment section. Guys, settle down. This is meant to be a happy place. Yes, Mark, this is pre-mask Melbourne COVID lockdown, I suppose we should say. At the moment, we obviously can't go out in Melbourne, but we can here. I'm not in lockdown, which is great. So if you're anywhere else, it is in full lockdown. I'm just trying to speed this up so I can get back there. So welcome everyone. Let me just check who's in on the live chat. I've got my Milo mug here. Hopefully it'll start warming up again soon, then I can get back to the Corona o'clock. Now, guy with the camera also is talking about the ZV-1. I just got the wide-angle lens. I'm going to do a review of that, attaching to it to see what a difference it makes. I put it on last night quickly, and boy, does it make a difference. So stay tuned for that. So let's see who's here. We are in pre-show. Let me just stick that down there so people know. Why won't that come up? I don't know. Not working. Oh, well, I won't stick the pre-show sign there then. So Matthew is here. He says the A7S3 is supposed to have a fully articulating screen, a touch menu system, and support CF Express Type A mini card slots. Yeah, well, I'll talk about that, Matthew. I'm going to go through all the latest rumours and stuff with you all today. So we'll sort of know where we are. Now, remember, it's only a few days away. So, you know, it's, what, on the 28th? So what's that, next Wednesday my time? I think it's Tuesday US time. Digital Film Review said, just saw IBIS test on Matt's video for R5. Handheld IBIS is best in class along with Olympus, but there is all warpy stuff if you vlog. It says Sony doesn't have this because their IBIS is less strong. Yeah, maybe. the warpiness is really weird what's going on there with the Canon R5. I'm not sure what quite is going on. If you're doing it for photography, it's groundbreaking. You can hold it at 2 seconds roughly. So it really is outstanding. Let me just get rid of these two because I don't think I need them now. Yeah, so it really is outstanding if you're dealing with the IBIS on still photography. It looks like, too, it's going to be usable as well for video, but I'm not sure whether that warpiness, it does seem to bother me. I'm hoping it's something that they can fix in post. It might be something with the digital side of the stabilization, but the thing is, if you go to all of the websites where it's been reviewed, everyone is complaining about the IBIS on those cameras. So I'm not sure about what's going on there. So hopefully it's something that they can fix. The R footage he showed looks like on a gimbal. I hope the A7S will have the same. Well, they're talking about the, well, I'll wait because I'm going to talk about something in that as part of the story so we can have a look at that as well. Alexander said Canon did lens firmware fixture, which fixes the warpy issue apparently as well. Now they just need to sell your fridge with the camera. You're set to go. He was talking about the heating. I love it. It looks like, did you watch, I watched Tony Northrup's review this morning, and it looks like the overheating's not too bad. I mean, look, it's there. And I noticed even Yervon put up a video about it saying you should probably go out and buy 2 or 3 cameras to get around that, which is what full-on videographers may do. But it does look, the reviews that he did this morning seem to be that you could record for about 30 minutes in full sun. Now, that was 4K 60. But he did say that even if you were recording sort of clips here and there, it would still add up and it would still overheat. So it is going to be a problem, I suppose, if you want to shoot 4K 60. So it's going to be interesting to see if Sony can get around that. Looking at the rumours that are coming out, it appears that it's not going to have any overheating issues. But like everything, you know, take that with a grain of salt until you actually see the results. Remember, early on, you're just going to see the ambassadors' reviews of these cameras, so be careful. I would suggest, too, if you are, thinking about which way to go, whether you wanted to go and get a Canon or the Sony or whatever, wait for some independent reviews that come out, because then you'll get a real unbiased review. Remember, the people that get these cameras early on are going to be the Sony ambassadors. I don't like to say the word, but they can also be Sony shills as well. So you've just got to be careful about what you believe when you see what's going on. I mean, that they're not going to jeopardize their position of getting those Sony cameras in. So just be careful about what you believe until you see some real reviews that come up. What else have we got? Matthew said CF Express Type A is about the size of an SD card and is 1 channel. Type B is the size of an XQD card and is 2 channels. Type C is the biggest card and is 4 channel. Yeah, I believe the type that Sony are going to be used is going to be backward compatible with an SD card. I don't know how they're going to do it, but that's what I've been told. Carl said, is there warpy stuff? If there is warpy stuff, then it doesn't look like it's on a gimbal. Yeah, it definitely has a lot of warping going on, that's for sure. Seems to be far worse. Now, everyone said that it's like that on most wide-angle lenses, but I haven't noticed it when I've filmed with the lenses that I use. It's never been put a comment that you've got warping backgrounds there, whereas I've really noticed it with the Canon footage. So I'm hoping they can fix it. Digital Red Film says, only warping stuff if you vlog. Handheld for B-roll looks amazing. Yeah, and it does. It seems to be like it's really good. G'day, Aaron. How are you? Enjoyed your show last week. Aaron's here with both channels. Well, you're busy, Aaron. Carl said, thank you for the Canon fanboy digital BS, whatever you're talking about. Keep it nice, Carl. So everything that's right is okay, and everything that's wrong, I'm not. Yeah, well, I don't want to read the comments where people are fighting. Maradona said, g'day, peeps. G'day, mate. How are you? What else have we got? Jeffrey said, g'day, David. Happy birthday. Or happy Friday. It's not my birthday. Happy Friday, matey. I love it. Guy with the camera said, hello. Mike's also here. G'day, Mike. Digital Film Review said, jokes on you, Carlo. They're still going. Oh, God, you too. Barry said, good morning. Ike's here as well. G'day, Ike. Where were we? Oops. Let me come down. I've lost where we were. hate that. Always disappears and jumps all over the place. Oh yeah, we're there. Pop1348 is also saying hello. Ike is saying good ibis on a Sony. He's laughing. Oh, Ike. Oh, I love it. Mark's saying pre-mail, but yeah, that was the video that I showed. Carl said, let the paid shield speak for himself. Oh, they're still going. William said, hi, David. Great to catch you live. Billy from Scotland. G'day, Billy. Now Ike's joined in that conversation with Carl and stuff, talking about the IBIS stuff. God, you guys. Guy with the camera said, give me a ZV-1 level IBIS, active steady shot, whatever, and I'll be happy. Yeah, it looks like it's great. I mean, I was really happy with the way the IBIS worked. Yeah, it was a little bit shaky in spots and stuff, but for what I was using it without a gimbal, it was pretty amazing. Check out that review if you want to check it. I took the family for a big walk around a gorge. Mamadou is saying hello from Minnesota. Runs with scissors. Giddy from New Zealand is here as well. Nice to see you here. Electronic IS GoPro is the future. Yeah, I agree with you. I think that's definitely the way it's going to go, Ike. I think Sony are going to announce something about that with the A7S 3 as well, but it's going to be done in post, I believe, later on. I think it's going to get to the point where it's done in camera like it is with the ZV-1, and it will get better and better. I think IBIS, where the actual sensor moves, will eventually disappear. It's a moving part. It's something you'd like to get rid of. One of the advantages too, don't forget about when you use something like the A9 and the electronic shutter, apart from the IBIS moving around, there's nothing really being used at all in the camera. So there's no real wear and tear at all going on there. So if they can get rid of your IBIS mechanism, your camera should become cheaper because there's less moving parts, less things to break down, and therefore if you get really good digital stabilization, yes, there'll be a crop involved, but when you're dealing with having 6K sensors, 8K sensors, they'll be able to crop down and you're doing to 4K or 1080p without a problem at all. So I definitely think digital is the future for sure. Ike said the IBIS in the Canon is amazing. I saw Maddie's video, but there is only possible on the larger mount. It's jumped again. Oh, here we go. Steve's here as well. G'day, Steve. How are you? Ike said, Canon people are complaining about the warping because they have never seen good IBIS before. My Panasonic G85 was warpy when I vlogged. I didn't notice it with my G85 though, Ike, when I did that, but Oreo's here. G'day, Oreo. Leslie said, hi, David and everyone using my iPad main computer. What's that? You're using your iPad. Your main computer's compromised. Aaron said, if you need to buy 3 cameras... I know, it's funny when I heard you even say that, I sort of laughed. If you need to buy 3 cameras to get over the overheating, it's time for a real video camera. I love it. And then Aaron's telling Oreo to wake up because he said he nearly fell asleep. What else? Mike said, Photomiak, you have a secret Sony envy. Oh, God. Dana's here as well. G'day, Dana. How are you? You guys are going to go off. I can see it already. Mark said, hey, Aaron, was almost out the door doing a video when the bloody bell went off. Laugh out loud. What was the bell? Oh, was it this one? I'm not sure. So let's get started in today's show. Let me just put down here, what are we, 13 minutes. Now, we haven't got heaps to talk about today, apart from just the Sony a7S3 rumours, but I am going to talk just about a couple of things too. The Canon, actually, the autofocus. So let's get started with the show. So welcome everyone, back for our usual Friday show. Now, if you haven't joined our photography videography school, please do. We are getting so close. Let me just bring this up. We are getting so close to 7,000 subscribers. Really close. Oh, it's showing 7, but I think we're actually 30 short. Let me switch over so you can see it. Over here, yeah, we're getting really, really close. I think we're, like I said, we're about 6,980 or something like that, or 70. So we're getting really, really close. Please join it. We're doing weekly competitions where we put the header up the top up here. The one that gets the most votes gets to have the header photo. This week's task is actually going to be, let me just show you. This week's task is going to be waterfalls, and you can see here that we're getting lots and lots of people submitting their images. We do this weekly, and like I said, the one that has the most number of likes for the week gets to be put into the header of the group. But, you know, it's for everyone. It's for videographers. It's for photographers. It's for people just starting, people asking for advice. Very, very positive place. You can see Gilbert showing some stuff here. We do also weekly tasks, like it's showing window light. Here is this week's weekly task as well that we're putting in. You know, we have a great bunch of people in there, you know, and like I said, it's a very, very positive place. So please join us if you haven't joined the group. It's growing very, very fast, and I'd love to thank everyone for that. It's sort of an extension of Aaron and my YouTube channels. Like I said, we do the YouTube channel with Aaron together on the Wednesday US time, Tuesday US time, Wednesday here. And this is an area that's sort of an extension from that, but plus with everyone sharing their YouTube videos and things like that. So please, please join us. So let me just go to this first story. I'm just going to put the time in that we're starting, which is 17:20. So what we're going to do is we're going to go through. Now, the announcement for the Sony camera is this coming Wednesday, I believe, the US time. It's on the 28th. And it's at 10, I think it's 10 a.m. your time, which is 12 p.m. or 12 p.m. here at the evening. So I'm not sure whether I'll be live or not. I may be if I stay up. If not, I'll do a live that is, you know, say 10 o'clock that morning, the time now actually. I'll do it sort of about this time, the day after it's released, so we can go over for all the rumours and stuff like that as well. But I thought what we'd do today is we'd spend some time talking about the latest rumours, because there has been some updates that have come out in the last few days, and I thought that I'd go through all of them. Then we can have a discussion about that, and then we can also look at, I want to sort of talk about the Canon autofocus, because it looks like they really have done some groundbreaking things with their autofocus, and another story as well. So we have got a few things that we can look at today. But let's get stuck into these latest rumours. Now, I want to go through, at the moment, what was all the original rumours that were sort of mentioned for this camera. So let's go about it. Now, they are still predicting a price range of around $3,500, and I think that's probably about correct. Sony may do something really extraordinary here, and prices around $3,000 to just destroy the competition. And that could be really interesting if they do that, as they did with the a7 III. They really could do something about that. But I am expecting them to do something particularly like that with the a7 IV, which I wouldn't be surprised if that is announced before the end of the year. Remember, as I've discussed before, that Sony have got no answer at this stage to the A7, to the R6. Really, they haven't even got an answer to the EOS R5. They're different cameras. What's happened at the moment is Canon have gone completely different than what Sony have done, because Canon really have given two cameras that are amazing hybrid type cameras, amazing fusion cameras. And that's one thing that Sony don't seem to be doing with the a7S III. They are tailoring the a7S III as a video camera. Now, I haven't got a problem with that. It's absolutely fantastic. And I'm tempted to get it, but I'm going to wait for the a7R4 before I make a decision on which one of these two cameras I would get. There's limiting things which I'll talk about in a few minutes. But let's go back. So Canon have gone a little bit differently. They've tailored their cameras directly for doing stills and video at the same time. The G'day, Peter. Peter Lindgren's just joined, so good to see him in here. I'm surprised Peter's not out there testing his A7S III. Sorry, Peter, I just put you right in it. So if anyone has any questions for Peter about the A7S III, you can ask away. I'm just kidding, Peter. Now, the interesting thing is, now I'll probably be talking about this, and Peter's probably got one. I love it. Now, let's have a look. So Canon have gone about it completely different. I love it. The A7S III is supposedly going to be good. Peter's not allowed to say anything. I love it. Thanks for popping in, Peter. I'm just having a bit of fun. Now, let's have a look. So Canon basically are going to give two cameras that are going to be perfect for doing videos and stills at the same time, whereas the A7S III is going to have more of a video-centric type camera, and the reason why I say that is because of this. I mean, if you think about it, they're putting a 12 megapixel sensor in there as well. I just laugh because Peter's laughing. Oh, I love it. So the 12 megapixel sensor, I don't think really is a problem if you're dealing with a film camera. Now, I discussed this with Aaron the other day. What's going to happen here is it's perfect for filmmakers because you could put, say, those 12 megapixel sensor files into your video footage. It would be great for, say, doing Instagram. And you can actually also use 12 megapixel for doing professional work. I mean, like I said, I used to use a D3S, the Nikon, and that was 12 megapixels, and I did use it. Now, look, yes, it's not like the sensors what we're dealing with now, and once you get used to, say, 24 and, 30-odd megapixels, 40 megapixels, 60 megapixels, it would be really hard for me to go back to something like the 12 megapixel sensor for stills. So I'm laughing because everyone's asking Peter won't be able to say. This is funny. I'm just laughing, everyone battering Peter. Poor Peter, he'll be disappearing. Oh, I love it. Guys, if Peter has one, he's not going to be able to say. He'd be under NDA. Oh, I love it. He can tell me, though. Peter, just contact me, Peter, straight after this. I promise I won't say anything. Oh, I love it. So the 12 megapixel sensor for me is a little bit of a worry as a fusion type camera. That's probably why I'm going to hold out. Although, look, to be completely honest with you at the moment, with lockdown the way it is for me, and probably no weddings for this year, I have booked weddings for next year. Hopefully that'll work. I probably won't buy a camera until the end of this year anyway, and by that time I'm hoping the A7 IV is out, which probably will answer my questions. And this is the thing I was trying to say to you, was that, Sony have to answer the R6. The A7S III is sort of competing against the R5, the Canon R5, but it certainly misses on the megapixel side because the R5 has, 40-odd megapixels in resolution. So, that's an issue in itself. So they are a little bit different in the way that they're being marketed at. The A7S III is going to be a video-centric camera. They're aiming this at videographers. They're aiming this at people that are, say, have got an FX9 that may want to have a perfect B camera. This would be perfect for that, and I'm going to talk about that in the colour science in some of the coming questions coming up. I think Peter's disappeared. Poor Peter. Oh, he was probably sorry you popped in. I love it. All right, so let's go through some of the specs. So that 12, we think it's going to be a 12 megapixel sensor. Now it's going to record your 1080p, 240 frames per second, up to 240 frames per second. It's going to have 4K up to 120 frames per second, and it will have 10-bit 422, 4K 120 frames per second raw over HDMI. Now that's what they're saying. I'll check the latest releases in a minute because I haven't even looked. I've just grabbed them this morning so we could all go through them together. Now, the next one is it's saying it's going to have a 600 megabits per second bit rate. Which is incredible. I mean, if that's true, the files... I know Peter is still here. I don't know why you guys think I have the A7S, but the rumours look awesome. Poor Peter. Oh no, you couldn't say. I know. Look, I know exactly what it's like for people that have it because I'm under NDA all the time for things that go on. I'm always under NDA for the pro photo stuff, and you just can't say. So it's quite funny. I'm not saying Peter has it. He might not, but I'm just guessing Peter's got it. Base ISO of 160 for S-Log3. Now, that is huge because it was 1600 before, I believe. So that's massive. So to be able to shoot much lower ISO is unbelievable. So you've potentially got the 600 megabits per second bit rate, and you've got the base ISO of 160 for S-Log3. No dual ISO. Now, I don't think that's going to be a problem because dual ISO is very, very handy in cameras because what it does, it gives you the ability to shoot at two native ISOs. Say, for instance, you might be able to shoot with your native ISO at, say, 100, and then you'd have another dual ISO that will kick in at 3000 ISO, which again becomes native. So it's fantastic with that. Because the ISO range is so high, it's going to be 409, 600. I don't think you're even going to need dual ISO because the ISO on this will be the new low light killer, that's for sure. The advantage with using this 12 megapixel sensor is that it will be amazing in low light, and it also should have incredible dynamic range. So we've still got to wait for that. So that's what we're doing there. They're saying 16-bit RAW. Sony claims 15 stops of dynamic range, so I probably would think it's probably going to be around 14 odd, but that's still going to be amazing. The world's highest EVF, which is 9.4 million dot EVF, and I've talked about that before. I know Ike and that was saying you don't need it, but I love using the EVF to get exposure when I'm dealing with our harsh light outdoors. It's very, very bright, and with the crappy Sony back screen monitors, I'm hoping that's updated. You just can't see exposure good enough, things like zebras and stuff. So if exposure is critical, or if manual focus is critical, I always use the EVF. So I think that's great that they've put that in. New kind of passive cooling system, no overheating. And if that's true, that is one big difference between the Canon. Where they're saying you've got to use 3 Canon cameras to basically shoot, without overheating. If Sony can do this so that they can run this continually in 4K 60, that's all I would mind. I don't care if it heats on 4K 120. If they can give me 4K 60 without any overheating at all, Sony, I believe, have got a winner of a camera. UHS-2 card and CF Express type A cards, and what they do is the slot's going to support both, so that's fantastic. That looks like it's a really good solution for Sony. Looks similar to the A7RV. Fully articulating screen, same as what's in the Sony ZV-1, which I love. And they're saying announcement late July. Well, we know it's going to be announced in a week or so. So let's skip. I'm going to keep going because then I'm going to come back to the Q&A, and we'll just go through things together today. But let's look at the next rumours that have just come out. So they're now saying that it may have this, which is really interesting because they're saying it's going to have this Cine tone colour science. Now that's basically almost like Venice. And there's a whole thing about this. I'll just talk about it down here before we go any further. Where were we? Oh, and it's also going to have this movie edit add-on. Now, what that is it's like the ZV-1. You can take it into software later on to add stabilization. Now, yes, it will bring a crop into the fact, but it's giving you the ability, because it must have an internal GPS or gyroscope to be able to do this. So because it's got that, you're going to be able to take it into this software that's available later and add more stabilization in post later on. And it actually works very good. So let's keep going down what they're saying. The report is saying the A7S III will have the S Cine tone color science. The sensor will be a XMOS R CMOS sensor. Sony will add movie edit add-on compatibility for image stabilization in post. And it's like the RX Mark II and the RX 100 Mark 7 and the ZV-1 are compatible with that app. That's because it has that internal gyroscope or whatever it uses. This is how they they plan to match Canon's IBIS. It won't be as good, but at least it won't be warpy. So they've mentioned the warpy. Also, the slight crop will be used to achieve this. 15 plus stops of dynamic range, they're claiming, and the C4K in addition to UHD will be available. And I'm just checking what it says here too, that the overall, this camera is similar to the A7R. Now I'm going to talk about that because it's another thing here that's done as well. But realistically, there is no 4K 60 10-bit internal 600 megabit camera on the market that can record unlimited video without overheating. And that's why I'm saying if they've achieved this, it will be incredible. And that really will be amazing if they've achieved this. Now, if anyone's interested in what their Cinetone color science is, I've got a whole article here, which I'm not going to read the whole thing, but you're going to be able to have a look at this, and I'll leave the link down below so you can check out what this says. But I'll just read a small part of this because I wanted to look at what it's talking about. Where was it that I read it? Okay, so it's just saying here, if we are totally accurate, the only camera with Venice color science is Venice. Now, this is the true Venice, but they're saying that this new color science that they're going to bring out with this camera is sort of related to Venice. And it just says it responds to light and turns that into color image. But it's a hardware type thing, so it's not going to have Venice. But it did mention somewhere down here. Oh, yeah, it's here. So it's saying what is... the FX9 has new color filters. So they're talking about how the FX9 has this color science. A new sensor, new processing, but it is not Venice. In the custom mode, it has what Sony is now calling a7siii. This is the thing that they're actually saying that Sony are going to put in their A7S III, which is set to become their new default look for their film style cameras. It says, once again, this is based on the Venice look and shares many similarities to the Venice color science, but it will never be full Venice color science because it can't be, because it's different hardware. The a7siii is a combination of a gamma curve called the original and matrix. I'm not going to keep reading this, but basically it's saying it's a very filmic type look. It's mentioned all in here. Like I said, I'm going to leave this in the link down below so you can have a full read about what this Venice color science has, or this a7siii. I did say all along, if you go back to some of my other videos, I did say that I thought they would put this sort of Venice color science in the A7S III. This is why I'm saying that Sony may be really marketing this as a B cam to something like the FX9. Because if the colors match perfectly from both of those cameras, that is just incredible. That would be worth it for the money alone for people that have an FX9 that wanted to get the same color science in the A7S III. Now, looking at say the ZV-1, I've found by far that has the best color science I've ever seen in any Sony camera that I've used to this date. The ZV-1 is incredible, and I would expect Sony probably with the A7S III using this new type of color science that they're going to be using, that it will probably be even better. So it's really, really exciting about what's going on. I really can't wait to see what they do in that regard. Now, like I said, I think that this could be worth the money alone. Color science, particularly if it's a really good color science, is going to be amazing. And particularly if this matches the FX9, boy, what a couple of workhorses if you have an FX9 and then you can use your Sony A7S for all of your B cam footage. But again, we're going to be able to use this to get great footage ourselves. Filmic type looks, you know, with a A7 series cameras, which is going to be fantastic. Let's keep going. Some of the other rumours that they're now talking about, this came out, I think, late yesterday or early this morning. I think it was late yesterday. So there's some more rumours about that are coming out. They're saying the AF system is almost the same as the A7R4, which we all know is incredible. It's not as good as the A9, but it's unbelievable. Apart from the A9 and the ZV-1, it's probably the best autofocus that's out there. So that's amazing. So, you know, the issue with, and that's the reason why I sold my A7S II, was due to the fact I hated the autofocus in that camera. So I sold it. I got rid of it, and I like to use automatic focus whenever I can. So if this has the A7R4 autofocus, I expect it to be better. I think that now, with the time that's sort of passed since then, they will have tweaked it a little bit better, particularly as I'm going to show you a little bit later on how good the Canon is focusing. I think that they probably will improve it. It may be up to almost like the A9 levels. It might not be that good because of the sensor, but it may be. I would expect it to be really, really good. They're going to put a video record button on the top. Now that's great. So that's probably going to be something similar to what the ZV-1 has, a large button at the top that you would press. That will be easy to find, unlike those horrible, little buttons that you've got in the normal cameras. So it's probably going to have a dedicated video button on the top, which will be terrific. It's saying place behind the shutter button. 4K RAW output, yes, but not sure if it supports 4K 120 RAW output. Did not try, but it says it's 16-bit RAW output. And it also says I did not have the chance to test the RAW output because the firmware is not available. Apparently, Atmos is working on supporting it. As soon as the camera is released, Ninja V will have an update like it has with the other cameras, like the Canon and also the Nikon cameras. They'll have an update that gives that ability to be able to shoot the RAW from Sony cameras as well. Dynamic range is 15 stops tested by Sony, so I'm guessing it's 13 to 14 in real life. They're just saying dials on the back of the camera, video dial for video mode selection, left to EVF, so there's a video dial mode as well. Screen touch function. Now, please, Sony, please, if this happens, if this doesn't happen, I love playing with that. Please, Sony, please give us this touch screen. Now, while I'm on that, I just wanted to show this because there is something, where was it that... this page, let me just switch back to this. There's a thing here, and I'll leave this page down below, but this is just from a user that's come up with a video about what he would love the user interface to be like on the Sony cameras. There's a whole video about this, and like I said, I'll leave it. It doesn't put the video on here, but there is a link. You can click down the bottom of this, which will take you to the video, I believe. I don't want to do that because it's his video, so I won't take his views away, but... check that out. But, Sony definitely need to fix their touch interface at the back of the screen, and they also need a better screen. Look, this is for sure. The interface, and I keep harping about this all along, but we're looking at how long is it since Sony has updated the screens on the back of their cameras? I don't know. What is it, 7 years? I don't know, but it's a long, long time since they've updated their cameras. And I'm telling you, they've been left for dead with the EOS R6, the EOS R7, EOS R5 and 6. I went to 7. Even the EOS R, all the Nikon cameras, Fuji, etc., Panasonic. Sony have been left for dead with the interface and also the screens on the back of the camera. Please, Sony, please update that screen. And hopefully it will have that flippy screen as well. I'll leave that article there as well so you can have a look at it, but he's done this completely redesign. And let's face it, Sony make amazing mobile phones. Their interfaces on their mobile phones are incredible. So why on earth can they not give us a decent touch interface on a camera? I do not understand it. I really cannot understand what's going on there, but let's hope anyway that that's fixed. Let me just come back to this. Where were we here? Yeah, here. So they're saying in here that it's going to have a new touch screen available when navigating through the menu. Oh, please. Ports, removable port door, 2 USB-C, that would be fantastic. 1 micro HDMI. I really wish that they would have gone with the full HDMI, but, oh well, it is what it is, but it's just a pity. I would love them to have fitted in a full HDMI. No flash sync port. Now, that doesn't surprise me at all because it's not classified as a stills camera. Source 3 has said, here is something unfortunate though. There will be a crop on the 4K. A small one, similar to the a7S II, also only up to 4K 60, will be 10-bit 422 internal. I'm hoping that's not true, but that's another claim that's up there. You know, if it's a tiny crop, I'm hoping that's only 4K 60. I'm hoping it certainly doesn't crop at 4K 30. That would upset me. Source 4 said they are claiming to have overheating issues for... They are claiming to not have overheating issues for at least 1 hour, even at the highest frame rate. Like I said, if Sony can pull that off, they really have done an amazing job. Source number 5 said, I can confirm 4K 60 10-bit unlimited recording time. And like I said, there's nothing out there that has anything close to that where you can just record like that at all. I mean, the GH6 can do it, or GH5 I mean, but it's not a full frame camera, so we've got to remember that. I can confirm at least 180 frames per second, 1080p with full AF and sound. Again, that is amazing. If they can give you that with audio, I've discussed this before, because audio is important, because if you had one camera that fails and then you've shot another one with the idea to slow that down, at least you can use that for audio if you need to. So it's an important thing to have audio available in those modes. Some cameras don't give you the audio feature when you go to 4K 60 and stuff. So it is important that you get that. Downsampling from 1080p from 4K, making this the best 1080p hybrid ever made. No line skipping or pixel binning. So the 1080p is going to be outstanding if that's the case. No internal RAW, that doesn't bother me. I don't mind having to put a Ninja in or connect a Ninja if I'm going to shoot RAW, that's fine. New codec similar to the FX9, and that was that codec I was talking about before, no 6K. And there's one more that I wanted to discuss. This one here too says that it's full passive cooling. Now, they did initially put in the rumours that there was going to be a vent attached, and I'm not sure why Sony have got rid of this. So perhaps they don't need it now with the way the camera's working and the sensor and processors that are in this, that they run cool enough to do it. So there's no vent. So you will have full waterproof sealing in this. 12 megapixel BSI sensor, no 48 quad, and SD Express Type A card support. I don't think there's anything else. It just says here that the Sony a7S III has no active vent. It only uses pure new passive cooling system. So they must have worked out a way of cooling the camera down much better than what it was previously. So, you know, really, really interesting stuff there. Lastly, because I'm just going to come back and do a Q&A at the end of this, I just thought also we'd just share here as well that this is terrific for Sony, because now Sony, the AP Journal, what are they? What's the name of it? I've just got the Associated Press photographers are now exclusively using Sony cameras. Sony have done a deal with them, and I suppose they've given them the gear that they're going to use. But this is a great marketing ploy by Sony. I think it's a terrific idea, actually. So you're going to see Sony cameras being sort of put everywhere now, and good on Sony for doing that. That's a great thing. Lastly, I just wanted to show this because there is a lot of people talking about the autofocus, particularly the animal eye autofocus on the new Canon R5 and the R6. It looks really, really impressive. I know some of you are not going to like me saying this, but Tony Northrup also did a video this morning that I watched, and he said that he thought the eye autofocus of the R5 was better than Sony. He actually said it was the best eye autofocus that he'd ever used. And there's a whole document about this, and I'm going to share and you can have a look at. But, you know, the low light EVF of this camera, the low light autofocus, I should say, is completely nuts. It really does look outstanding. So Canon have really upped the ante, particularly with the autofocus with their latest cameras. It looks like this is leaps and bounds better than what they had with the EOS. Than the EOS R cameras. They really have done amazing work. I mean, we've seen over a period of time how they've improved it through firmware with the EOS R, but it looks like they've done amazing sort of groundbreaking work with the autofocus with this camera. So let's open up to Q&A because I want to go through with you what you think about all these specs and everything else. So we'll spend, say, 15 minutes doing this. 40. Was it 44? Yeah, it was 44. So let me come back to here, and I'm going to have to scroll right the way back, and then we'll just see where we're going. So if you have any questions, guys, fire away. Mark said, how far are we off finally getting a manufacturer producing a camera with no issues? Who knows, Mark? Like I said, we have to wait too for the full releases of this to see how it works too. So, you know, we've got to sort of see how it goes. Leslie said, I heard it was UHS-2 card slots and maybe a CF Express Type A. Yes, Leslie, it looks like it's going to be a slot that's going to be able to share both, which is great. I mean, I think that's terrific. And I think if Sony can do that, that is a great solution for this camera. You know, that's certainly going to be fast enough for anything that Sony are going to be doing on that as well. Carl said, we will never be completely satisfied. It's a human condition. I love it. Mark said, hey, Aaron, was almost out the door when doing the video. Then the bell went off. I read that before. Mark said, we'll hang until the show is over. Rainy day here in Queensland. It's a beautiful day here in Melbourne today, actually. Mark said, Aaron said, rainy here too, but it's also dark out. Time for bed, so I'll stay in. It's dark out there, he said, because Aaron's from Puerto Rico. Aaron said, yes, great place to hang out. Yeah, it is. It's like a bunch of mates all hanging out here. That's for sure. John said, hello, everyone. Splitting my attention between this and baseball's opening night here in New York City. Well, thank you so much, John, for tuning in. Peter, well, he said, good to catch you live. And then we're all having a bit of fun with Peter. It was great. Peter's amazing. I can't believe how fast Peter's grown, but his work is unbelievable. Peter also said the A7S is supposedly going to be good. Thank you, Peter. People are asking Peter for information. I love it. Oreo said, is that Peter revealing something? Scissorman said, Peter, how accurate are the rumour specs? I laughed. Peter, please laugh like David is wrong. When we write, I think he's saying, oh, please laugh if I'm wrong, I think he's saying. Yes, 12 megapixels is still great for many things. Yeah, it is. Like I said, I think the 12 megapixel on the A7S III is useful. Like I said, if I probably would using that camera, I probably would be using it more for the filmic type looks, and I'd take photos of it that I could incorporate directly into the Fusion type work that I was recording. So having 12 megapixels is fantastic. And you could, like I said, use it as well. It's just something that you're not going to blow up massive posters, but you can go up reasonably large. You just can't blow up massive. Now, if you shoot like me and Aaron do, well, if you don't crop in camera, 12 megapixels is often enough. You only really run into problems with 12 megapixels if you crop. If you crop heavily, you need something that has many more megapixels to get around that. So if you don't crop really heavily, 12 megapixels is actually quite good. Ike said, I hope to see some Academy Award-winning films with the A7S talk. Look, Ma, I'm vlogging with my 4K RAW 10-bit, uploading it to YouTube. That's cracked me up, Ike. John said 12 megapixel is too small for decent prints, but okay for Insta and other web hosting. You can get away with 12 though for some prints, John. Like I said, I used to shoot weddings with it, with the D3S. Mark said, heard they were locking down Victoria and throwing away the key. Yeah, we're not in lockdown, Mark, actually. We're pretty lucky. But Melbourne certainly is, that's for sure. Ike said, I've seen the stuff I've seen people do with the GoPro. GoPro and like the Osmo Action and all those cameras are pretty amazing. So's the iPhone. I mean, yeah, they are. Basil said, late again, can we start over? Peter said, haha, I don't know why you guys think I have the A7S III, but the rumours look awesome. Thanks, Peter. Hi, Peter. Does it have Venice colour? I love it how everyone's asking Peter. I love it. Oreo said, rumoured specs of the S3 are excellent for high-end video, but that's not my court I play in. For me, 4K 60 A7 IV with improved autofocus is really what I need. I'm sort of in the same market, Oreo. That's why I'm definitely waiting until I see what Sony release for the a7 IV, because I'm pretty certain, I'm almost 100% certain we're going to get 4K 60 on the a7 IV. It'll probably be 24 megapixels, maybe up around 30, but we will. I would say the a7 IV is going to be 4K 60. It'll have better autofocus like the A9 probably by that time. It'll have the tracking. It'll have the ability to change the focus color, which, of your focus color to different colors like we can in the A7R4 and the A9. So it's going to have all of those things in it, probably a flip out screen. So I'm in the same boat as you, Ario. I'm going to wait to see what that is before I make a decision about whether I get the A7S or the A7 IV. Like I said, I'm not in any hurry because I really haven't got paying work for the foreseeable future. So I'll just have to wait and see. Aaron said 12 megapixel, you can print a 28 by 18, so it's good. Yep, I agree. If you're not cropping, like Aaron says there, it's fine for reasonable size prints. Basil said, real question, why not just get a video camera? Because I think this is still going to be better than buying a dedicated video camera. I really do. I mean, you've got all of the Sony A-series lenses that you can put on this. You can take the stills if you need to do the stills with this. So I still think you're better off to get this to fit in with your workflow rather than buy a dedicated video camera, because you still could use this as a fusion type camera if you needed to. It's just you have to keep in mind that it's a 12 megapixel sensor. Ike said, John, even when you know what you're doing, you won't be able to surpass the stuff I've seen people do, mate, with GoPros. I will wait for the a7 IV, but I might be tempted with the Venice color. Yeah, if you can get that new color science, if they do incorporate that, and it looks like they're probably going to. I did discuss that in previous ones, and I thought they would update the color science in this camera. I think it's going to be a beautiful camera to use for filmic type looks. Juicy's just saying hi. Guy with the camera said Sony has 2 body registered from what I recall. Yep. Aaron said many people who complain about the small megapixel don't print anyway. Exactly. And unfortunately, it's a horrible thing to say, but I don't print anywhere near the same amount of work that I used to print. I mean, I've got 2 massive prints in the studio now I've got to give to a client. They were both 80 inches. So they're really, really big prints. But I don't do anywhere near the prints that I used to do. Most of them now just want to have them so they can share them online, share them on Facebook, share them on Instagram and things like that. Like it's now where it's going to go. And if that's the case, the a7S III is more than enough. Peter said, Basil, I for one want to have a camera the size of the a7 III, but aim towards video. A cinema camera is just too big. I agree. And I'm exactly the same as what Peter's saying. Juicy said, thank you for doing the live. Yeah, thank you so much for watching, Juicy. Aaron said, I always choose digital SLR for video over the larger dedicated cameras. Yep, so would I. I know, Aaron, but if you take a killer shot and want to print big, I would rather have the detail. Well, obviously, Alexander, if that's the case, well, then the a7S III isn't for you. It's a simple suggestion. Wait for the a7 IV. It's that simple. Remember, Sony aren't targeting this camera at you. They're targeting this camera at videographers with the ability to take some stills, and that's how you've got to look at this. If that's how you are, just don't buy the camera and wait for an a7 S4, or just buy the a7 R4. Need more thumbs up? Yeah, please, guys, if you could, I'd love it if you could give me some thumbs up. It does make a difference to the channel, so I really would appreciate that. What else have we got? John said, bigger sensors allow more room to crop with minimal detail loss. I often compose with crop in mind. Yeah, and that's the difference. If you do that, well, then that's not for you, John. Aaron, like I said, Aaron and myself, we don't do that. We mostly crop in camera. I very rarely crop at all. If I do crop, it's only a minimal. Usually I like to see it in camera exactly as I'm going to shoot that. We talked about that actually in the show I did with Aaron just the other day. So if you want to go back and look at some of the images where we talked about composition, check that out too, because that was the, oh no, I had to take that off, didn't I? Yeah, that was there, it was there the other day. Mike said we need some thumbs up. John said done for the thumbs up. Thank you so much. Thanks everyone that gave me those thumbs up. I really appreciate that. Alexander says, yes, you have to account for the crop too. That's correct. Mark said, did you see the ease of how the Blackmagic 12K footage was transferred and dealt with? Simple SSD, USB-C and editing. Yeah, I know. The Blackmagic also, their footage is also very, very friendly on computers. I think it's called the B-RAW, something like that. If Langston was here, he would tell you. He's not here today, but I think it's B-RAW footage. It's also great for editing. It's a very, very great codec. Sizzleman said the Cinetone alone would exceed expectations. Yeah, exactly. That's something a lot of videographers particularly would pay for alone. Aaron said, I got you, John. I was talking about print. Most don't print, but digital composing is good with more megapixels. The FX9 has S Cinetone. Yep, and that's what they're saying we're going to get with the A7S III. Juicy said, what about the A7 IV? Nobody talk about it. Like you said last time, excuse me. Oh, have a drink of my Milo. Like you said last time, the A7S is mainly video, but A7 IV is going to do both video and stills. Yeah, we just don't know when that's going to be released, Juicy, though. I'm picking that the A7 IV will be announced before the end of the year. I don't think Sony will give us too long to wait to have a camera that will combat the R6. Because, like I said, at the moment, we haven't got anything that can combat the R6. So I think we won't have to wait too long for that. Aaron said, with all that said, I will not go back to lower than 24. Yeah, I think 24 is the sweet spot, and I agree with that too. Alexander says, will they put the Cinetone on the A7 IV? I don't think so. No, that'll be limited to the A7S III. They won't... They would have to give you a reason to buy the A7S III over the A7 IV. So I don't think that's going to have all the features that the A7S III will have. If it did, you wouldn't buy an A7S III. Mark said the FS5 and the FS7 both need updating. Yep, I agree. Nivak said, oops, where were we? Nevak said, my A7 IV auto-focused on Jupiter the other night, and it focused well. Yeah, the A7R4 is amazing, and he did that with the 200 to 600. Mark said, the A7S III should come with a stack sensor, so this will be the animal to be reckoned with. It's going to be really interesting, isn't it? Also, if it comes with a great stack sensor, Mark, it would almost eliminate the rolling shutter. The A9 is much, much better in rolling shutter. Sony didn't put a touchscreen on their so-called vlogging camera, so I won't hold my breath. There's a massive difference, John, in the price of the A7S III to the ZV-1. So don't be too sure. I'm hoping it's going to be a touchscreen. Touch menu only failed, John said. I'm hoping that's all fixed. Nivak said it's not even hard for Sony to update the menus and touch interface. All they need is a new user interface designers. This is a basic misappropriation of the effort at this point if they don't. Yeah, I know. They really do need to do that. I'm just starting to skip some because we'll be here forever. Peter said, I'm still here. Oh, it's good to see you stay, Peter. I hope you're enjoying your little bit of time off that you're having as well. Sadly, I'm waiting for the A7 III. Nothing to be sad about, Tony. I'm waiting for that too to see what that's like before I make a decision as well. Ike said 12 megapixel is still capable of prints. Yep, it certainly is. Like I said, as long as you don't crop too much. I'm not informed about how megapixels are affected on a crop sensor hybrid shooter considering an A6600 over the A7S III, but not sure if I can blow up 32 megapixel crop photos. Yes, you can. You can still blow them up because it's shot at that megapixel. But remember, it's a crop sensor, so it also affects how, if you use a wide-angle lens, it's not going to be that true wide-angle lens. That's the thing that you've got to take into consideration. I also hope we get 10-bit on the A7 IV. Hopefully, yes, we should get that as well. You'll have no issues, Peter said, you'll have no issues blowing up a photo from a crop sensor as long as you have enough megapixels. Yep, exactly. Oh, Langston was here. It'll be interesting to see if he said anything about the Blackmagic as well. Where were we? Everything Man's here as well. I notice, g'day mate, how you going? You've also ordered the R5. When are you getting it, do you know? Because I notice you've ordered that. So welcome to the live chat, mate. Good to see you in here. Alexander said, when will you get your R5? Everything can compare we can compare the IBIS on both. Well, I probably won't because I'm not getting an R5, but I may be able to get one from someone that has one perhaps that I can test for both. The Everything Man may be able to do that because I know he's got one on order. Ike said, I still have a 45-inch print from a 12-megapixel Nikon D700 hanging up and it looks great. Yep. I think people do underestimate how big you can blow the image up, Ike, and I think that's true. Peter said, all right, good catching you live, David. Night, guys and girls. So Peter's gone. Thanks for joining us, Peter. Langston said, is it bad that I'm a live stream, but I'm watching a different live stream? You're at a live stream? What does that mean? Langston said, my Blackmagic on a gimbal is smaller than the a7 III, but okay, I disagree on camera size. I know Langston loves his Blackmagic. Which gimbal do you use? I think he was using the Moser, but he'll answer that anyway. I know the Rowan S. Yeah, that's right. Langston also said maybe on the 120 frames per second shoots because the shutter is at 240. I'm not sure what that was about. He was talking to someone else. Scissorman said, I think that is the purpose of the a7S III, to be able to take stills if you need, or with a one camera. Yeah, like I said, it's there if you need it. And like Ike said, you can blow images up to more than what you would think with a 12-megapixel sensor. And it's certainly useful for doing what most people want, is just to have images that, you know, you can share online or Instagram and places like that. Langston also said, right, but if I'm shooting 24 frames per second, motion blur is a problem no matter the camera. Someone correct me if I'm wrong. I'm not sure what you were talking about there. You're talking about if it was action movement or something, Langston? The FX9 had touch enabled through firmware, yeah. But I think that would have, the thing is, Sony obviously had the idea of enabling touchscreen with that all the hardware was there. They just had to enable it through firmware. I don't think it's there in all the cameras currently. That's why I expect it to be in the a7S III. Remember, Sony have said all along that they expect to exceed expectations, so I would think that it probably will have a full touchscreen. What are you expecting on the IBIS front? Well, I'm expecting it to be better, but I wouldn't expect it to be like the Canon. I think they're obviously going to be using that software base like they have with the ZV-1. So you're probably going to see that it's a little bit better, but it's not going to touch the other cameras that are out there. CC said, Everything Man said this week, hopefully. Oh, great. That's fantastic. Can't wait to see your reviews of that, mate. If you haven't subscribed to the Everything Man, check out his channel. It's great. CC said, new codecs needed, better 4K quality. Anything coming from the A7S is going to be outstanding, but the price. I don't think the price is going to be too bad, CC. I think it's going to be somewhere between 3,000 and 3,500. But we have to wait and see. I hope no recording limit on the a7 IV. It won't have a recording limit. There'll be no recording limit on any Sony cameras from this point on. That's one real bummer that they've done with the Canon cameras. I just don't understand why Canon have put a recording limit on the R6 and the R5. That was a stupid move by Canon. Unless it's because of overheating, I don't know, but it really was stupid. If I'm recording a wedding, I don't want to have to go back to the camera to check that, boy, it might stop recording, and it could stop recording at that critical moment. You know, and then you've missed it. Like, it's really bad. Like, when I do a wedding, I love being able to have a camera on a tripod, let it run, and not have to worry about it overheating. What else have we got? Gene said, I hope Sony releases firmware update to get touch control on at least the A7 R3. We won't get that, Gene. We're not going to get it. They won't even give us the colour change in the a7 III. So you're not going to get that sort of an update on those cameras. One of my favourite photographers on Instagram still uses the a7S II. Labby says the EOS R5 and the Sony a7S III are two totally different cameras. Yep, they certainly are. I still prefer the Canon. I even prefer the R6 based on the rumours. There's nothing wrong with either of those cameras. I agree with you. Hello, mate from Queens, New York in the room. Langston said, read 24 bits frames per second. I was talking about pulling. Oh, okay, pulling stills. Yep. I shoot too low a shutter normally. Yep. When I've captured stills from a shoot, it's only because sometimes the way that I shoot, guys, is sometimes I just crank the shutter, and it's often what I do when I'm doing fusion. That's because I'm taking stills and video at the same time. You can't tell the difference. For brides will never ever be able to tell the difference, and therefore, if I crank the shutter and I'm running at 1/200th of a second or 1/2, even higher, I sometimes crank the shutter up to 1/1000th of a second. Brides still can't tell the difference. And then I can grab stills from that. So if you were shooting 4K or 8K, for instance, you can get some amazing stills grabbed from that footage if you shoot with your frames per second up high enough and your shutter speed. The 24 frames per second you can still use, Langston. You just crank your shutter. That's what I do, but that's the way I'll do it. I know what you're after, though. You're after a filmic look, so I completely understand what you're saying. Sony has said that everything is new on the a7S III. John said, I've been crushing it with my Olympus. I say that to help us all with our gas. No worries, there's no problem with those cameras, John. Yes, the recording limit is stupid. Yeah, I don't know. Hopefully Canon will get rid of that. What most of you should do is complain to Canon. Keep whinging and complaining like we did. Everyone whinged about the not having the 24 frames per second, and Canon added that with a firmware update. So hopefully, if enough of you whinge to Canon about it, kick up a big enough stink, they might change that with firmware. So I'm hoping that's maybe what happens. The Canon Cripple Hammer with that limit, they want you to get their C200 and C300 series. I think this is separate from their cinema line. Is there a recording limit on the R5, R6? Yes, it's 30 minutes. 29.59, yep. Which is terrible. They really should get rid of that. CC, I forgot rolling shutter should be fixed, and that would be a huge upgrade. And that's about it. That's about it, guys. We're at the end of the comments for today. There wasn't many stories today, so like I said, it was just really an overview of what was going on with the camera. Probably the next live show may be on the morning that the A7S is released. That might be the day we do it with Aaron. So if it is with Aaron, we'll come on live and go through the specs together that morning to go through the new a7S III camera review, because it could be that day, Aaron. I'm not sure. If it is that day, we'd have to do that live on that day, I suppose. So that's about it. Just as you said, a C100 Mark III is also coming based on rumours. Yeah, I would expect that to happen as well. So thank you so much, everyone. Really appreciate you all viewing today and the great response. Love it if you could give a thumbs up before you do head out. That would be fantastic. Apart from that, everyone, we'll see you all in the next live video. So bye, everyone. Have a great weekend. Now, Peter, just contact me about the a7S III. Oh, am I still online? Oh, hang on.